What's up, everybody? This is Whiskey in the 6. I'm Rob. Today I'm doing the Glengoyne Teapot Dram Batch 6 versus the Glengoyne 12-year-old Single Cask. The Teapot Dram is the newest Teapot Dram available only at the Glengoyne Distillery. It's 59.3%. There are 2,772 bottles. Teapot Dram is done in a Solera-like style, and it's 100% first fill sherry, unchill filtered, cask strength, natural color, like Glengoyne always does when it comes to natural color. The 12-year-old Single Cask is also unchill filtered, no added color, 56%. I'm not exactly sure that that's cask strength. It's definitely very close to it. They may have added a little bit of water to get a full bottle instead of a half bottle or something like that. 278 bottles. This one is made for Holland. I've never had a Single Cask from Glengoyne. This is fantastic stuff. You guys are going to hear about that in just a sec. It's an Oloroso sherry cask. Alright, so both of these are pretty limited. They're both pretty much cask strength. The Teapot Dram had obviously a few more casks involved, but not too much more. Less than 300 bottles in this 12-year-old Single Cask, which is kind of cool. Shows you that there was quite a bit of evaporation in that cask. I'm going to nose them, taste them, and give them a mark, starting with the Teapot Dram over here. Okay, so definitely first fill sherry here. Not an ounce, not a drop, not a sniff of sulfur. Which is why I love Glengoyne so much, because I've yet to get that smell, that off-putting smell that can also be mistaken for ammonia. I've yet to get that in a Glengoyne glass. Beautiful. Definitely heavy on the chocolate here. Some red fruit like Brookside. Chocolate covered raspberries is what I'm getting. Chocolate covered cranberries, that kind of thing. Beautiful on the nose. On the palate, definitely chocolate, raspberry again. Beautiful finish. As this oxidizes, it gets better and better. I'm enjoying this way more now than when the first time I was exposed to this bottle. Jeremy and I acquired a few of these. We're really lucky to get them because, like I said, it's a distillery exclusive. But yeah, it's much better now than when it started. So if you get a bottle like this, take it down past the neck and then let it sit for a couple months in the bottle if you have that opportunity. If you have several other whiskeys, if you're not sharing with anybody else, you bought a bottle of this, take it down to the neck, let it sit, because you'll just get more and more of that whiskey as it goes. There's probably some pretty old whiskey in here. Like I said, it's somewhat of a Solera style from my understanding of it. So probably some younger whiskey in there, but definitely I would think some older whiskey as well. And it's not cheap. It's about, I think it worked out to 190 Canadian. So not cheap, but definitely worth it. Really nice. I'm going to give these a mark after I go to both of them. Just going to take a sip of water real quick. I'm also going to add a drop of water. Over to the 12-year-old Single Cask. Again, this is 56%. Beautiful color on this. As far as color goes, they're pretty much identical. I feel like the Teapot might, actually they're almost identical. So both first fill, I would assume. It doesn't say first fill anywhere on the box or bottle of the Single Cask, but if it's not first fill, it's a really great cask and second fill. Okay, so the contrast between these two is pretty crazy. This one's heavy on the dark chocolate, milk chocolate notes. This one's heavy on the fruit notes. It's very surprising actually how different these are. Definitely a lot of berry and stuff like that in there, like strawberries, raspberries as well. I don't get a lot of chocolate here. Almost like raspberry fields, the combination of that farm-like raspberry field. The dirt, the leaves, the actual raspberries themselves. If you've ever been to a farm during raspberry picking time, a lot of the raspberries get squished on the ground, and it just perfumes the entire air with that beautiful raspberry ripe, like almost cooked down smell because of the hot sun. And that's what I'm getting here. Really, really nice. There's even some like peach-like note in there as well. On the palate, so both at pretty much cask strength or cask strength do not need water to be that much better. They do benefit from a little bit, but they're very drinkable and not that hot at cask strength, which is nice. I'm going to add water to this, but again, getting strawberries and raspberries, that kind of thing, maybe a little bit of like a milk chocolate note at the back. Let's see what water does to these. Okay, so back to the teapot dram with some water. Oh yeah, now it's opened right up on the nose. There's almost like a maple syrup nose in addition to the chocolate. It's like a caramel apple covered in chocolate. That's kind of what I get. Much better on the nose with some water here. And even on the palate, wow. So much more going on now. Milk chocolate, caramel. Still get those raspberries a little bit, not as much. This has become super dessert-like now. Some beautiful notes that are going on right now. Honestly, it was not this good. I would say even 2 months ago when Jeremy first brought this over, I borrowed this from him to do the review. And wow, I don't think he's going to get the rest of that back. I'm going to lose this bottle. And unless he watches it till this point, he's not going to know. Okay, back to the 12-year-old single cask. The nose hasn't really improved much with water, which is weird. But yet the teapot dram smells amazing with water. I do remember the nose being better when I first opened this bottle, which kind of goes to show that there's no real absolute method here. The teapot seems to work better with some air and interaction and that sort of thing, whereas the 12-year-old seems to be getting a little worse. And I'm not sure why that is. But honestly, I'm getting mainly like dried fruit and dates. On the nose. Predominantly, actually. Okay, back to the palate here. Still really nice. I feel like when we first opened these side by side, we had them. There was a few of us. It was Jeremy from Super Social Club. There was Jasper, one of our buddies, and Paulo, one of our other buddies, and everybody said that the 12-year-old was better than the Teapot Dram that night. I bet you if they all had this now, it would have flipped completely, because this Teapot Dram, yeah, just so much more dessert-like right now than it was in the beginning. And this one seems to have like regressed a little bit. Still very good, but not as good as I thought it was when I first opened it. It seems to have lost a lot of that fresh fruit quality to it, especially with some water. Still really nice, but kind of dropped a little bit for me. I'm going to say the 12-year-old single cask is an 86. And that's weird, because I was definitely prepared to give this a 90 or higher when I first opened the bottle, but being just under halfway, something's happened to it. It's not as good as it was. I'm not sure why, but okay. So it seems that the Teapot Dram has really benefited from some air here. I'm going to give this one a 90. Really, really nice stuff. It's improved drastically since we first opened it. I'm not sure what Jeremy gave this bottle. I know he's reviewed it already. I can't remember if it was a high 80, but probably somewhere in around there. The 12-year-old single cask here, I was prepared to give a 90 or higher. It's just not there for me today. I'm assuming that this one didn't benefit as much from being open for a couple months, whereas the Teapot Dram really benefited from that. So I'm going to drop this one to an 87. Really good mark as well. I definitely have no regrets in acquiring this bottle. I think it's excellent stuff. I will enjoy the rest of this bottle for sure. But it's not doing for me what the Teapot Dram is doing for me, which is just like screaming sherry cask. Obviously, there's multiple different sherry casks in this Teapot Dram. There might be older whiskey in this Teapot Dram that's probably boosting up that flavor profile, whereas this one is just one single cask, 12-year-old. 12 years old is great, but in this case, the Teapot Dram wins. So 90 for the Teapot Dram and 87 or 88 for the 12-year-old single cask. Both are great. I have no regrets with this one, like I said. But doing these toe-to-toe for a second time, it seems like the Teapot Dram just really benefited from being open for some time, whereas the 12 single cask was better when it was first opened. This is actually one of the rare instances where a whiskey doesn't do well with being open for some time, but I guess that's why people gas their bottles, because some whiskeys need it and some whiskeys don't. This one definitely benefited from not being gassed, whereas I think this one, the money zone was at the neck and I should have been gassing it from day one. Both are really good. Both I would buy again. I wish we had more of these available so that we can dabble with a few different ages and single cask through Glengoyne, because it's a great idea and it's a great distillery. Alright guys, that's it. I hope you liked this video. If you did, hit that thumbs up. If you really liked the video and you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. You guys can also hit the bell to get notifications for my videos. I will be doing a couple more things until the end of June, Scotch-wise, and then we're moving over to American whiskey for the entire month of July. I have some really epic whiskeys lined up. I acquired some pretty cool whiskeys in the last little while. I tend to enjoy that month because it gives me an opportunity to just focus in on something that's different. I always tend to compare Canadian whiskey, Scotch, and bourbon together when it's not really a fair comparison because they're so different. And obviously my preference is Scotch. So having the opportunity to just focus on American ryes, American bourbons, it really gives me an opportunity to put things into perspective and really appreciate those whiskeys. So I'm going to have a lot of fun in July. I hope you guys will enjoy that too. Cheers.